Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I'm Rob, and today I'm going to be attempting to take this Dinkum dumper major pack number 10 from shabby to shiny. Now today is a almost worldwide collaboration between 6 channels. We have all taken on a construction vehicle restoration, and this is mine. The other channels in question are Time Riders, Wee Little Cars, Hodges, Hot Wheels and Diecast, Matchbox Restoration, Nick's Toy Garage, and Tony's Diecast Restos. Now I shall link all other channels in my description below for you to have a little look at if you haven't already. I think I'm the last one to the show today. But we start by taking out the rivets. There's 3 on this vehicle. Drill down the centre of the post, remove the flange and tap those holes. Remembering of course your lubrication, you don't want to snap your piece in the hole, and using my very handy vise. So she drives a little bit crusty, a little bit rusty. See, she's a bit stiff there, so I need to loosen her up a bit. But you'll see it's a very nice casting, this one. A great little toy that someone had all those years ago. You know, put little bits and pieces in the back there, dump it out. Would have been a nice little bit of fun. And I just couldn't help myself but, you know, driving it around a little bit, you know, it brings the child out in me, this one. But there's a few issues. You can see there's a kind of a bent piece there, and it's going off at a bit of an odd angle, so I need to fix that. There's a very obvious bend in the top of the cab here. Looks like it's been stood on, so it should be up, you know, should be up here somewhere. So we'll bend that back shortly. And then you can see the articulation part here. Now you see the screw there. It's just loosely in at the moment, and you know the piece there, the articulated rear part, moves around with a screw. So in the reconstruction, I've put the screw in with just a dab of glue on the end, just so that it stays in the right position. So you can see here where I take that screw out, and the rear section there just comes off. But now I've taken out the final 2 screws. And then there's quite a few little pieces to make up this vehicle, quite intricate. Normally I'm painting kind of one piece really, like the actual body of a car, but with this I think there was 5 separate pieces that all needed to be painted separately. So certainly that was a bit of fun. And it's nice to do something a little bit away from the usual, you know, where I'm restoring just your standard kind of 4-wheel cars. To do, you know, a construction piece like this, or the recent kind of locomotive that I did, just gives me a bit of a refresher really. You can see the little seat in there, and then this steering wheel. Whoops. This steering wheel's just popped in, and it will just it does literally just pull out, but it's kind of snapped there in 3 different places, so I'll be replacing that with something from my part stock later on. So I just wanted to turn my attention to this piece really. Now I wondered whether I could just gently give it a little bend back, and you can see there that that's almost there. So maybe a little bit more, and I think we're on to a winner. With this die cast stuff, what I do find is when stuff does get bent, you bend it back and it is weakened so much. Yeah, it's quite crazy stuff, really. It just snaps if you just play with it too much. So, you know, bend it back to where you think it should be and then leave it before you break it. Now you can see here the tyres were not dry rotted, you know, they're certainly usable, but they were just on there a little bit tough on the rims, and I wanted to take obviously the rims off to polish them up and clean them up. So I just put the rubber tyres here into some boiling water for all of 10 seconds or so. Just gives enough to soften up that rubber for me to pop it off. I did try beforehand to get the tyres off. They wouldn't come off, and you know, this hot water trick to me was the only way that I would get it done. And it's as quick as that. Happy days. So I'd use this little tool here to take off one end of the axle. There's like a bigger end and then a little end. Just takes off the little end, and then later on I'm able to just tap those back into position. So main body here with the decals. And I bought 2 sets of decals just in case I screwed up. I didn't want to get all the way to, you know, the finish line and then yeah, just to screw up one of those decals. So yeah, extra set of decals was well needed. So there's the steering wheel just popping off there. It literally just pulled out. I'm just kind of going through here, having a little look. You know, I'm thinking, right, yeah, what else do I need to do before removing the paint? And I needed to straighten this out. So you see there, pretty much there, and I did it just with my fingers, as easy as that. Didn't need any, you know, just like this. Another little bit of a manoeuvre, and I'm happy with that now. So I use the caustic soda method. Got some boiling water into the castings there, and then because there's quite a few pieces, I've put in 3 tablespoons, or teaspoons rather. I left it for a good probably 5 minutes before draining off that fluid. So here's what we're left with. As you can see, probably 95% of the paint remaining. I kept this little chunk of paint here for colour match later. There it goes. And yeah, there's just a couple of little bits of paint holding on, but to be honest, they flick off. So no real concerns for me. I'm going to go with my fake Dremel and little steel wire. Now that everything is shiny, I've probably put, you know, because of the kind of collaboration, you know, I put in a little bit of extra effort. Probably spent half an hour getting all this stuff as good of a finish as possible. So you can read underneath there. the Dinkum Dumper number 10 pack. But I'm just going to grab my Tamiya Fine Surface Primer in white and we'll get this lot covered. Now I'll go with just a single coat, you know, a good thick coat at all angles. Obviously this piece has lots of intricate angles and corners and nooks and crannies, so you have to really, you know, study the piece and kind of hit everything up, making sure that you know you do get every angle. It's yeah, a bit of a task, to be honest. You'll notice I've got all these kind of, I guess they're skewers, cocktail skewers. I put some of these crocodile clips on the end, and they make for, you know, especially when you're doing multiple pieces like this, they come in invaluable. Now I would prefer to use the forceps, but you know, I just have one set of forceps at probably £3 or £4 per set. You know, I could probably need another 5 sets really to make sure that I had enough to do, you know, such restorations like this one. But it's rare, so normally my one set of forceps is enough. But yeah, on occasion when I do multiples, I do wish I had some more, to be honest. But these crocodile clips on the cocktail sticks, they work nearly as good. And there could be sometimes, you know, where I inspect it off camera and then think that needs a little extra squirt. Being careful where to hold these pieces. You know, I've used the crocodile clips into the, as an example, area here that's going to be hidden. Perhaps should have used my glove today because I've got a little bit of overspray on my finger there and nail, and as I look down at my nail I still have a tiny little bit on my nail at the moment actually. This was probably the easiest thing to paint. You know, it's a bit more reminiscent of an ordinary casting. Nice big open space. And I used, you could see there, I put 2 of the cocktail sticks together just to really hold on to it, because it's relatively heavy really. And you know, these crocodile teeth, they're not the strongest things in the world. But I used the Revel email colours and actually done a bit of a mix here, I've only just noticed. But I mixed in a bit of Humbrol red. I probably put, what was it, I think 3 millilitres of the yellow with maybe 3 single drops of the red, and you could kind of see there from that almost luminous yellow to this, what I can say is a creamy yellow, certainly closer to the construction yellow that, you know, I expect. And that's all it took, just 3 drops off of a cocktail stick. So, you know, the smallest amount, and it was surprising in such a large amount of paint what 3 drops really did. So yeah, you know, if I would have literally poured in a little bit, it would have been too much, probably almost orange, and I would have had to have wasted all that paint. So yeah, little and often, single drop, stir, need a bit more, single drop, stir, need a little bit more, single drop, perfect. And I do love the way that these enamel paints come out, just beautiful. Although yellow is a bit of a bugger. You know, I think the other guys within the kind of construction consortium today will agree that yellow is not the easiest one to paint. It just, I don't know, it's obviously a very thin colour. The prep needs to be 100% perfect, because it will show up anything and everything that's underneath, and it will puddle, and it will be darker in places, lighter in others. But you know, that comes with experience, time, effort. What I don't show is that the following day there was a couple of areas that I felt required probably a little bit more paint, and I did have to make up another batch, and I just went over it again. I thought, you know, this needs to be perfect, and 90% good wasn't good enough today. It needed to be 100%. You see, I've got my shirt on there, and actually I've got a second interview today, so fingers crossed. So this one's got the forceps, you'll see here. So this is what I prefer to use, but unfortunately I've just got this one set at the moment. You know, eventually I'll add to it if I can find some that are cost effective. It's not the cheapest of hobbies, this one. But anyway, moving on to the tyre wash, I use this Citadel Nuln Oil. I've got a few other things that I do use, but at the moment I'm having a good time with this stuff, so I just covered it with that and I'll be happy. But going on to the decal set here, I use black square, and you know, these are a couple of other jobbies coming up. And like I mentioned earlier on, I've done 2 sets of these just in case I screwed it up. Thankfully I didn't, so now I've got a spare set. And here it is just a few minutes later. They went on perfectly, and I'm very happy with that. So here is everything dry. And here's the wheels all put back together now. So it's been probably a few days, to be honest. Here's the replacement steering wheel. Tyres there. Yeah, I've had a couple of days work with a friend of mine doing a bit of building and landscaping, so yeah, I'm a little bit behind, as you'll probably see. I think everybody else has already uploaded their videos today, but this is mine now. And here's that little replacement steering wheel. It's not 100% perfect, it's not 100% accurate. This actually comes off of Majorette Peugeot, but you know, if you don't tell anybody, I won't either. But I'm going to put this together now, off camera, and then here's a little reminder of what she looked like, and the result. I think you'll agree, she looks pretty dandy. I must admit, the bashing the wheels back on, you know, I don't have the, what everyone says is the Marty method. I don't have a driller press. I am trying to purchase one, but they are very expensive, and I just don't have the funds at the moment, you know, what with not having a job and all. But I did kind of take it down to my shed, very gingerly holding it on my vise and then tapping the other side with a dirty great big hammer, and I kind of winced and cried every time I did it, but it did work. But I'll save you, you know, the kind of viewing that. One thing I was a bit gutted about, because it's a restoration, I couldn't paint in that front. I would have liked to have put a bit of silver in there, but then it wouldn't have been a restoration. So anyway, just want to thank my Patreons, and thank you guys for watching. check out the other videos and let me know if you like this one.